Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm a bit sick. I caught the virus, so we're just gonna have to see how this video goes. Since it's soon to be February, actually tomorrow is February 1st, since it's the month that hosts Valentine's Day, I thought that it would be very fitting to do a romance reading vlog. Basically, just a vlog, a week-long vlog, where I try to read as many romance novels as I can. The original goal was for me to read one book a day. I'm seriously doubting that that will happen, so that's what I'm saying, that I will just try to read as much romance as possible, and hopefully the aim is to get 7 books in 7 days, but we're just gonna have to see about that. In order to pick these romance books that I'm going to read, I turned to Twitter. So somewhere in January I posted this tweet. Searching book recommendations. Smutty, LGBTQ+, POC, historical romance, fantasy romance, YA, trashy, anything goes. Preferably on the shorter side, but as I said, anything goes. And boy oh boy, those famous last words of anything goes. Yikes. This tweet took me on a bit of an adventure. I got a lot of interesting and fun and different replies that I just need to share with you and talk about for a bit. Because when I first tweeted this, I expected to get perhaps around 5 to 10 replies with recommendations. That was what I was aiming for, what I was hoping for, what I would have been happy and content with. At this moment, this tweet has 77 retweets, 11 in quotation retweets, 304 likes, and over 140 replies. So this tweet definitely took off. I mean, at least by my standards. This was something different. I think what happened with this tweet is that it somehow ended up in the community for self-published writers and authors. So there was a lot of people promoting their own stories that they had published on Amazon or Kindle, I don't know how that works. A lot of links to Amazon, which is completely fine. I mean, I'm happy that people are seeing the chance to self-promote, and of course they should. That's always good. Although I did realize a bit late that, maybe I should tell them that I don't really use Amazon and Kindle. But at that point I was already like 70 replies in or something, so it was a bit too late for that. My notifications got really interesting. A lot of explicit words that I usually don't expect to see on my notifications started popping up on my phone, as well as collages with half-naked people and dreamy settings. It was just a very interesting turn, and if you're interested in this tweet and all of the recommendations, because there are a bunch of them, and I'm sure that something will fit your taste, I will leave this link to this tweet down below. So if you ever need any romance recommendations, please check it out. First, before starting this vlog and whatever, I just need to share a few favorite moments from this Twitter adventure. One notification that I got on my phone that made me laugh for the rest of the day and that I will forever be grateful for is a reply by E.M. Denning. When I saw this notification pop up on my phone, I couldn't stop laughing. This was like peak of what this Twitter adventure took me on. Emotionally endearing gangbangs. Who am I to say no to that? I think you get the idea. Still a lot of fun. You do you, and I will be reading some of these things. A couple of other highlights that I first need to share. Nicholas Sparks, the Nicholas Sparks, as in The Notebook, The Last Song, the romance novels. He replied to one of the replies to my tweet. So I mean, it wasn't directly aimed at me, it wasn't a direct message to me and my tweet. But I'm still gonna take the credit for this, and this is still gonna be my claim to fame now. Nicholas Sparks tweeted me. And also Harley Quinn Books, one of the, I guess, most famous publishers for romance novels, liked one of the replies to my tweet. Once again, it wasn't a direct interaction with me and my tweet, but I'm still claiming the credit for this one. And just to close this up with one final complaint. I know I said anything goes, but I did write, preferably on the shorter side, but anything goes, and I guess I should have been a bit more strict or a bit more clear about that, because most of the books that were recommended to me are around the like 350 to 400 page mark. It's perhaps not considered a big book. I consider big books as 500 or 600 plus pages, but it sure as hell is not a short book. For me a short book is like 250 maybe 300 pages at most. The majority of the books recommended was in the range of like 350 plus pages, which is one of the reasons that I don't think that I will be able to read one book a day for 1 week, which was the original plan. And now I just want to make a special shout out to Christine, who recommended me Outlander. That book is 800 plus pages! I get it though, I think people just got so excited about recommending their favorite romance novels and books that they didn't really care about the page count, which is completely fair. That was some tidbits about my Twitter adventure. I just need to say that I'm so grateful and thankful for everyone that replied or somehow interacted with this tweet. It was a lot of fun, it was an experience. The goal for me with this romance reading vlog week thing is to just read as much romance as I can within this week and to try and read a variety of romance. So I do want to read some LGBTQ+ and some POC and perhaps throw in a historical romance, because that is something I genuinely want to explore and read more of. And also just some interesting settings and, I don't know, go a bit more dirty and smutty. That could be fun, I don't mind. I read fanfic before. I do have a list of books that I think I will get to throughout this week, just to have some sort of plan. That can change though, it depends on how quickly I read, what I'm in the mood for. The first book I'm gonna start with is Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren, and this book was recommended to me by Lost in a Book BRB/The Return Cart. So she recommended me 4 different books, and the one that stood out to me out of these ones was Beautiful Bastard. I have read 2 Christina Lauren novels before and I really enjoyed them, although I know that the Beautiful Bastard series is quite different from like the Unhoneymooners and In a Holiday, so I definitely think this will be a bit smuttier. Sort of like a 50 Shades from what I get from the setting, I think. Another one of the reasons why I chose this book is because it's 288 pages, so it's below the 300 page mark, which I'm quite happy with, because as I said, if I want to read as much as I possibly can within this week, I should go for the somewhat shorter books. That's my plan, to at least start with a short book in order to not set myself up for failure. Now, since I got COVID and I have to stay at home, I'm still working from home though, but still, I think that, hey, it might have cleared up a bit more time for me to do some reading, but also, since I got COVID, I haven't really been reading a lot. So we're just gonna have to see, no pressure. Some of the books that are on my list for this week that I'm considering to read is, as I said, Beautiful Bastard. Also Alyssa Cole was recommended a lot, so I really would like to get to her books. The Kiss Quotient, that I also have. It Ends With Us, Colleen Hoover was recommended a bunch as well. The Wedding Date, then we have Stacey Reid was recommended, Sarah McLean, Naomi Simone, Katie Robert. I will try and get a good mix here. I think that's that for this intro and this Twitter adventure recap, and let's just get to the vlog. Hi, I started reading Beautiful Bastard yesterday and I got like a 5th through, almost 20%. I'm like at 18 or 19. 3 chapters in. It's steamy. It's not your regular sort of Christina Lauren novel, but I'm currently just working from home. There's been a lot actually, a lot of emails, a lot of calls, so I'm still catching up on that. We'll see how it goes with the reading. I just need to speak about one thing. Apparently, Beautiful Bastard was a Twilight fanfic. Of course it was, of course it was. Everything started out as a Twilight fanfic nowadays, didn't it? And it seems to be even pre-50 Shades. I got a bit suspicious because I read the dedication. The dedication was to an SM. Thanks for unknowingly contributing to this or something like that. I was like, wait, I know this started out as a fanfic or like a story online, but like SM? Could it be? Could it be? And then I scrolled back because there's a lot of blurbs from fans that commented on the book or like the story while it was online. And the people who commented, this is like obviously what gave it away. The usernames of the commenters are like Twilightish or Robstination, Paddison Films, Twidiculous. It's one of the Twific Reviews top 10 fanfiction classics. I have read my fair share of Twilight fanfic throughout my days. Yes, I have. I think it would be so hilarious if I one day at random just pick up a book and start reading it and kind of feel like I recognize the story, only to later figure out that, maybe it's a fanfic that I read. I'm hoping that will happen in the future. But yeah, I read 3 chapters so far. It's really steamy, although a bit rushed. The setting is that basically there's this girl, I know her last name is Mills, and she is the assistant at a huge company to this guy Bennett Ryan, and he's a douche. He makes her do a lot of stuff and he's just annoying. She puts up with it because she has to do some things for her thesis and she just wants to build her own career and stuff. And then suddenly one day he approaches her and things happen. And that's the story. So they kind of like, they hate each other, they're just attracted to one another, which is fair. So that's how far I've gotten. Yeah, gonna have to see. Hey, I'm just here, relaxing in bed, watching some YouTube. I'm now 100 pages in on Beautiful Bastard. I'm undecided. Or well, okay, I'm quite decided, actually. I don't think I'm enjoying it that much. They have sex every chapter, that's about that. Chloe and Bennett both are very strong-willed and strong-minded, I guess. But other than that, they don't really have that many personality traits. They're both just perfect, really intelligent, really driven, smart, beautiful. There isn't really any other sort of plot at the moment. Quite a flat story, which I think is like a sign that this used to be a fanfic. Because with fanfics they can be flat, because the characters and the dynamics between the characters is usually established with a fanfic. But that's why it might be so compelling to write fanfics, because, or at least in my case, because you don't really have to explain that. You can just take these characters that already exist and make them do the things you want them to do. And I kind of feel like that's the case here, where they just took this story straight off internet. There's not really a need to establish the characters. They're not giving any background at all. Perhaps that will come later, I don't know. But I'm like a third into the book now. So there's no background. There's not really any friendships or any dynamics in that way. I get it. This book is supposed to be smart. It's like, hey, as I said, they bang every single chapter, which is like the sort of book I was going for, but I'm just trying to be critical here. If we're gonna talk about the smutty scenes instead, they're quite fast. I don't know, there's no build-up. So that it kind of loses the fun in a way. Like, perhaps the first time was fun, but then when it's every single chapter, it's quite repetitive. Will I get bored? Maybe. I finished my first book. I actually managed to finish Beautiful Bastard within one day. I'm happy about it. At least I read one book this week for this vlog. The book itself, not my favorite. It was very flat. It did feel quite a lot as fanfiction. It just wasn't as developed and fledged out. Is that the word? I could see what the authors were going for, like what they were trying to do, and they did try to give the characters some depth. It didn't reach all the way. So I gave Beautiful Bastard 2 stars, and this is a series. I'm just gonna look it up how many books there are in this series. 10 books. Officially there are 5. But then basically between every book there's like a novella or like 0.5 book. I'm happy I read it because I had been curious about it, and I'm happy I finished it and that I read it all within a day. But now I think that I'm gonna pick up The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is quite short actually. It's just over 310 pages, I believe. So I mean, it's basically 20 pages more than Beautiful Bastard, so I could manage to read this one in a day if I just go for it. In this book we're following Stella Lane, and she has Asperger's. Basically the plot is that she hires an escort to just teach her the ropes of dating and having a love life and stuff like that. And this girl, she's all about equations, she's very smart, she works with algorithms, so I guess like computer science. It goes from being a job to becoming more. I've heard a lot of praise about this one and I'm very excited. It's been on my shelf for a while, so it's just good that I'm getting to it now.
Take a sip, you gon' trip. I'm like a cup of shroom tea in the morning. Coat your throat like hot honey. You gon' need water, then want some more.
So I'm on page 106, which is I guess about a third into the book. And and I'm actually really enjoying this one. It's really good. I love the characters. Stella is amazing. I love her. She's very straightforward. She's very practical. And Michael, the escort, is pretty cool as well. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I just had like an epiphany or a realization about something. About how we are being lied to through rom-coms and romance novels. Because I'm currently reading a scene where Michael and his cousin are talking about girls. And when I've asked my friends, my guy friends, they've told me on multiple occasions that they never talk about girls. They only talk about girls when me and my female friends ask them. So these are lies. They're discussing this for multiple pages. And I'm like, that's not real, that doesn't happen. So I think you can tell that there's a woman who wrote this book. If it had been a man, would there have been discussions this way? I don't think so. I'm doubting that I will finish it today. As I said, I'm only a third through. I have joined a few reading sprints. So if I continue reading, I might get at least like 60% through it and then can finish the final third tomorrow. That might be the plan. Day 3 of this reading experience thing, and I'm more than halfway through the Kiss Quotient, which I'm very happy about. Yes, I didn't read it in one day, but I will definitely finish this one today. I'm currently on page 172 and it's good. It's doing well. I love the characters. I think Stella is so cool and great, and Michael, boy! Michael is solid. I like Michael a lot. He's doing well. He's doing well for himself. Let's just say that. I like it when characters in romance novels, when it's not just about their relationship and what happens when they meet. I like when we're giving a bit of background, a bit of family background, and we see them in the, like, I guess, natural environment, which this book is definitely giving us. The pacing, I mean, overall is quite alright. My one complaint about the pacing is that basically the deal is that they meet up every Friday. As the reader, we only read about the Fridays. So even though one date might end and the next chapter is about the next date, and the characters, they have been pining for each other and had the most awful week and all they wanted is just for Friday to come and such. We as the readers, we don't really experience that, because for us it just goes from Friday to Friday, or from one moment when they hang out to the next moment when they hang out, which is nice, but it's kind of losing that sort of pining and slow burn and journeying, that the thing you need in between to further fuel. That's the one thing I would perhaps complain about, that just add like a half a chapter of something else in between when they hang out. They're hanging out too much. No, it's good that they're hanging out. Unpopular opinion perhaps, but this one is better than Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Red did nothing for me. Michael is definitely superior to Red. Fight me on this, I will fight you. I just finished the Kiss Quotient and it was so good. It was really good. It was really nice. I'm very happy about it. Quite a quick read, or well, I read it in 2 days. It was good. I don't know what to say. I thought the characters were great. Both Stella and Michael. My Michael though. And they were just so sweet together. The romance was so cute. They were so cute together. But also like the steamy scenes. They were really steamy, but like in a good way. And I love when characters get a backstory with their family. I love some good family dynamic. But now I need to decide what to pick up next, and I have no clue. I had a plan for like the first 2 books and now I don't have a plan. Let's see, what's on my script? I have some Katie Robert, or I have Colleen Hoover. I did buy The Wedding Date, and I also bought The Hating Game. So I have both of them as ebooks at the moment. And last night I started reading Theirs for the Night by Katie Robert. It's a fun one. It's very short, I think 96 pages or something like that. It's a male-female thing. It's a polyamorous relationship, and it's surprisingly good. It's 96 pages long, which means that I didn't really expect much plot, but They're surprisingly quite a good plot, and the characters are surprisingly well built. Pun intended. The story is about a girl, it's her 23rd birthday, and all she wants is just to go home and not spend any money. And her friend convinces her to go out to this bar, and at this bar she meets two guys. And then you're gonna have to read it, because I won't talk about what's gonna happen. It's a fun one, I will have to admit, it's quite fun. In my head I'm just comparing everything to Beautiful Bastard, because it was the first one I read this week, and everything is so much better than Beautiful Bastard. I'm sorry. If you really like Beautiful Bastard, I get it, I do. So I just finished Theirs for the Night by Katie Robert. It was good. It was a fun time. It was shorter than I expected it to be. It was around 78 pages. The page count was 96, but like the last 15 pages or so were just like an excerpt from the next book. Hella smutty, hella erotic. I can see how this can actually be a series, because there's actually some sort of mystery. I mean, I would recommend it. If it's what you're after, then sure, I would recommend it. I don't think I will continue with the series. I don't know,
You know what? No. Well,
I know that she has a book series that is like adult Disney, where like the main character gets together with the villain. I wouldn't be so against trying that one out. So I think the first one is with Jafar and Jasmine, and that's like a fun twist. Now I need to figure out what to read next. I still want to read something with POC rep. I still want to read a historical romance. I'll get back to you when I have made a decision. So here I am thinking that A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole is a historical romance, and then the first chapter starts with an email. Last night I started reading A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole, and I've been so wrong about that one. For some reason I thought that it was a historical romance, and then the first chapter started with an email. So obviously not a historical romance. I think it has to do with the marketing or something, why I thought that way, because the cover is kinda like a historical romance, but obviously, although I didn't think about it, they are wearing like modern clothes. And also, like the name itself, A Princess in Theory, like all those historical romances, they have words like princess, prince, duke, rake. So yeah, it's not a historical romance, it's a modern romance. The story is about a girl who lives in New York, and she's studying to become a epidemiologist while working a bunch of different part-time jobs. She starts getting emails basically that says that you're the lost princess and you're supposed to marry our African prince. And she's like, this is a scam. Nah fam, this is a scam. I'll just delete this. It's quite fun. So this prince, while he is on his way to New York for business purposes, he finds out that they did find this princess and that she lives in New York. So he decides to meet her because, hey, this is the girl he's supposed to marry. So he goes to this restaurant where she works as a waitress, and she has no clue who he is. She assumes that he is like the new guy at work because they were supposed to have a new person showing up, and he decides that this is the perfect opportunity for me to get to know her without declaring my title. And that's how far I've gotten, basically. So it's like 5-6 chapters in. Quite a fun story that way. So far so good, actually. I don't know how much I will be able to read today. Hopefully a bit, although I do have some TV that I would like to watch later. But I'll definitely finish it within 2 days. So I'm like a third through A Princess in Theory. I think I'm actually getting a bit disappointed, to be honest. And I think it is the writing that just doesn't sit that well with me, or it doesn't work. I find it very inconsistent, and it's kind of taking me off guard and making me like make double takes when I'm reading. I like the idea of the plot, and initially I enjoy the characters, but I'm starting to find that the characters are a bit inconsistent. For example, we have Jamal, who is the prince, And you have moments where he basically knows nothing about America and the human world, or like the ordinary world, I guess. All he knows is his castle and his servants and the life being a prince. But then suddenly there are sometimes these moments where he can reference a movie, kind of be like an ordinary guy, and that's just very inconsistent to me. It doesn't work. Also, part of the writing is just messing with me, because I can read something and it doesn't make sense in my head, so I have to reread that sentence multiple times in order to understand what the writer is trying to get at. And it's just kind of offbeat. It's not really like as snappy as I think the author is going for. Also, just the development between the characters. I'm about 30% through, so not that much has happened yet, but still, like, they have met, okay, now 3 times, but when they had met 2 times, like the first time was kind of a mess, but nothing special, they were friendly. But then the second time, when we see it through Letty's perspective, she's suddenly expressing these sexual feelings towards him. And it doesn't really make sense for her to notice his package, like the second time they're hanging out after he was an asshole to her. I don't know, there's just so many things that aren't really connecting, and like, perhaps my expectations were too high. And this has nothing to do with the fact that I expected it to be a historical romance. Also, there was an instance where Letty, the girl, is talking with a colleague on the phone, and the colleague is just complaining and swearing, and then suddenly there are 2 swear words in Swedish. Like in my copy of the book, suddenly the character is saying jävla fan. And I'm here like, what? Where did that came from? Is there something wrong with my copy? Why is there suddenly Swedish in cursive here? Because it has never been established that this character is Swedish. His name is like a really old Swedish name that I have never heard of, or I have never met a Yves. It is a Swedish name, I had to Google it to confirm, but still I didn't make that connection. And suddenly I'm seeing jävla fan in my book, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And that's also that's one of those things that just made me do like a double take of what I'm reading, and it made me a bit confused. Not that they have to establish every nation that a character is from, but it just feels a bit unnatural when things like that are placed in the book. I'm really ranting right now, I'm feeling it. I'm just confused. Good morning. I finished A Princess in Theory last night. I think I talked about how I thought that it was a bit inconsistent and not really working. And unfortunately that continued through the second half of the book. For example, we have this big reveal where the prince will reveal to the girl who she actually is and why he is there. And he's so anxious about it, and he keeps thinking like, oh, it's not the right time, when should I do it, when should I do it? And when the reveal is finally made, it's like so short and quick and odd and like not tactful in any way, and she sort of just accepts it. So then you're kind of like, well, what's the big deal? Why did you wait with telling her if it was so easy? The inconsistencies in the book continued. Basically, you have a chapter of like 10 pages or something when she's in the airport, and it's about her first time in an airport and on an airplane and that experience of traveling with a private jet and such. But the reveal of her identity takes like 1.5 pages max. Like the second half of the book, I was just rushing through it in order to finish it, and there wasn't even that much of like smutty parts to compensate for it. Like, had there been like a majority of smut throughout it, then I would sort of understand that it's more about the smut than the plot. But since there wasn't that much smut, it obviously was more about the plot, I guess, and the plot didn't work. It saddens me, because I really did have high hopes for this one. Yeah, that sucks. Instead, I started to read a historical romance. I just read the first chapter of a book called The Duke's Shotgun Wedding by Stacey Reid, and it's a short one. It's like a 100-page novella. The story is about a woman, Jocelyn, I think her name is, who gets seduced by this duke. And then suddenly the Duke announces that he's going to marry another woman. What Jocelyn does is that she storms the home of the Duke's brother and demands that the brother should marry her instead. And that's basically the story so far. That was the first chapter, so I don't think that much else will happen. I think that there will be a wedding and some smut and perhaps some sort of cliffhanger. I know I'm looking like a hot mess at the minute. I'm about to go and shower, so I don't really care. But like an hour ago or something, I finished The Duke's Shotgun Wedding. It was alright. It's about this lady who storms the house of a duke and claims that his brother seduced her but then married someone else, so he's gonna have to pay up and marry her. And he accepts only because he wants someone to F around with and to have someone help him make an heir. He doesn't care about love, he doesn't really care about anything else. He will still do his own business and he will allow her to do her own business as long as they have fun. And her goal is just to get some money. Quite simple premise, I would say. But yeah, there is some sort of story. There is a plot. There's not that much for me to say about it. The characters were okay. They didn't really have that much personality. It was very rushed and fast-paced. The events of everything from her storming his house to them getting married and like married life, it's very, very quick. I think I would have preferred it if it was a bit more slow burn. I get that it's not the point of the story since the book is like 100 pages. They could have had it a bit slower. It would have been nicer. There is a possibility for plot and intrigue. For me, it ended up as like a 2.5 book. And I think I'm gonna end my romance reads with that one. I was considering to prolong this week and perhaps do a couple of days in the next week as well. Perhaps listen to an audio of a romance book. But I'm starting to feel a bit tired of all the romance. I can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, it's been so much romance. And I just need like a good fantasy or something sad, just something else. So for my sake and for the sake of this vlog, I think I'm gonna keep it at 5 books. So let's try and wrap this vlog up, shall we? Today is Monday, which means that it has now been a week since I started this romance vlog. In that week I have read a total of 1,161 pages, which makes it an average of approximately 165 pages a day. All the books I read were in text, so I didn't listen to any audiobooks. 1 book was a physical copy, 4 books were ebooks. And I'm very pleased actually. I had a lot of fun this week filming my clips. This challenge, this vlog sort of gave me a purpose while I was sick. It was a fun challenge and I feel like I explored a lot of different subgenres of romance. I also feel like I managed to read somewhat diverse, which I'm always happy about. We had some disability rep, a POC, historical romance, polyamorous romance, male, female. I hope that this vlog will turn out quite alright because I really had fun filming for this vlog and sharing my thoughts and opinions about the books I read. Now, speaking of opinions, let's just rank the books I read. On first place we have, to no one's surprise, The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. I really enjoyed this one. It's a tropey romance where the characters are well developed and so good, and the smutty scenes are good. Like, don't be fooled by the cute cartoonish cover. The smutty parts are smutty, but they're good. Good smut. It was just wonderful. I really enjoyed it. On second place we had Theirs for the Night. Surprising, perhaps, but also not, because I did give it 4 stars. For what it is very good and very solid. If you want a smutty read, go for this one, because it's honestly, it's quite well done. There's a plot, there are well-developed characters, and there's smut with a good build-up. It isn't rushed. On third place we have The Duke's Shotgun Wedding by Stacey Reid. Solid book. Don't really have that much to say about this one. It gets 3rd place because the 4th and 5th were just worse. In 4th place we have Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. It's a fanfic. It's basically a fanfic. But at least I knew that going into the story, and I actually did have somewhat of a good time reading it nevertheless, and I did read it within a day. I didn't get bored of it. Well, I kind of got... Comparing this to the book that will be on my 5th place, this was definitely more tolerable. Because on 5th place we had A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. I'm so sad that I did not enjoy this book, but I think it's the writing. The writing messed me up. I really did enjoy the characters at first. The writing just was all over the place. I struggled reading this one, and I didn't really struggle the same way with the rest of the books, and that's why it gets 5th place for me. And I'm so sad about it because I wanted to like it. And I didn't. While I'm at it, I also thought that I could do another sort of rank list thing. All the books that I read this week, all of them are parts of a series. Different series, of course. So all of these books were like the first book in that series, and they do have sequels. And this rank will basically be which series am I'm most interested in continuing. On first place we have the Kiss Quotient. There is a second book named The Bride Test and a third book that will be released this year named The Heart Principle, I think. They're all about different characters from what I gather, but perhaps they are the characters that we met in the first book, like side characters. I really did enjoy Helen Huang's writing. I liked the tropey romance, and I think the rest of the books in the series also are tropey romances. In second place we have Theirs for the Night by Katie Robert, and as I've said multiple times already, this book actually do have a plot and well-developed characters, so I wouldn't mind learning more about them. The mystery is quite intriguing, and that's why this gets second place. Third place we have The Duke's Shotgun Wedding. I really didn't manage to get an opinion about this book. It was like quite meh. The characters aren't really that special, and the plot isn't really that special either. As I said, it was very rushed. But I did enjoy the setting. I did enjoy the historical romance aspect of it. Because of that, I could see myself continue with this novella series. On fourth place we have A Princess in Theory. I did enjoy the plot and the characters at first, and I liked the idea and the concept of this book. I just didn't enjoy the execution, but hopefully perhaps the writing could improve with time. In fifth we have Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren. I don't really see how there can be anything new and interesting added to the story. Like, what will they do? Continue to go at it in the office for 4 more books? I would much rather prefer to read basically anything else by Christina Lauren, because I do enjoy their other books. This was definitely a challenge, but I did have so much fun. It was a good time, and perhaps sometime in the future I could do like a part 2 or do this sort of vlog again. Not in the next month or so, because I need to read some dark shit now. I need to read some fantasy, some moody contemporaries, some innocent YA. I just need like a bit of a romance break. I will always enjoy romance in my books, but solely reading romance in this way for like a week straight, and they're always banging and always kissing and they're always like angsty. I need a break. The reason I want to do a part 2 is also because there are so many books that I didn't get to. The Wedding Date, Top Secret, Sarah McLean, The Hating Game, Beach Read. There's so many recommendations that I really do want to explore. Please continue to leave your recommendations to me. To close this up, I really hope that you enjoy this, what will probably be a really long video. Once again, I also just need to say thank you to everyone that in any way interacted with my tweet where I searched for the romance book recommendations. As I said, it was an adventure and it did give me a lot of laughs and a lot of good times. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye!
You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes